It's 6:30. You're live here on GHOne TV. This is News Tonight. I'm Natalie. Let's take a look at our top stories. Coming up this evening. Embattled former Chief Justice GHOne sues government over withheld salary and benefits as she files motion to stop Justice Bafo from becoming the next CJ.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm
The second coming.
into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trout from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late?
Of course.
He could be the luckiest. Could be from Georgia, be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you could be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
We do apologize for that technical hitch. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Let's now bring you the headlines. Embattled former Chief Justice GHOne sues government over withheld salary and benefits as she files motion to stop Justice Bafo from becoming the next CJ. Also coming up, largest opposition MPP hints of seeking legal redress over rebranding of Movement for Change to United Party, citing tradition of the MPP. Meanwhile, United Party fires back at the MPP, describing their stance as irrelevant. IGP GHOne visits FBI to strengthen US-Ghana law enforcement cooperation. Ahead in business, 2025 IMF World Bank meetings conclude with praise of Ghana's economic trajectory. On the international front, Army colonels sworn in as Madagascar president after swift military coup oust President Andry Rajoelina. We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight's Tuesday. Well, let's now settle down for the details here on News Tonight on GHOne TV, streaming live all across the world on X at GHOne TV. Here's where we get started tonight. Embattled former Chief Justice Gertrude Arba Esaba Tokonu has filed a legal challenge at the High Court in Accra, seeking to stop what she describes as the unlawful denial of her salary, benefits and entitlements following her removal from office. In her application for judicial review filed October 16, 2025, Justice Tokonu is asking the court to issue an order prohibiting the government from withholding her lawful entitlements that were due to her before the issuance of the presidential warrant, removing her from office on September 1, 2025. The former Chief Justice is also seeking to halt the vetting and approval of Justice Bafo Boni as the next Chief Justice of Ghana. Per the action filed on her behalf by her lawyers, she seeks to reverse the entire proceedings of the Article 146 committee chaired by Justice Gabriel Scott Poimang to consider petitions for her removal. Mrs. Tokonu wants the court to also set aside all proceedings conducted by the committee tasked with investigating petitions for her removal. The former CJ is also asking that the presidential warrants that removed her from office be declared unlawful, null, void, and of no effect. An order of certiorari bringing up into this court for the purpose of being quashed and for quashing. The proceedings of the May 15, 2025 and the entire proceedings of the outcomes of the Article 146 set up to consider petitions to remove the applicant chaired by Poimang, that's a Poimang committee or committee. An order of certiorari bringing up into this court for the purpose of being quashed and for quashing. Each and all of the three grounds given by the Poimang Committee for recommending the removal of the applicant from office as Chief Justice, as stated in the letter of the Secretary to the President, dated September 2025. An order of certiorari bringing up into this court for the purpose of being quashed and for quashing the presidential warrant dated September 1, 2025, removing Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Arba Tokonu from office as Chief Justice and Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Ghana. An order prohibiting the consideration and appointment of a new substantive Chief Justice of Ghana, she prayed. Details as to the legal basis of this petition put forward by the Chief Justice. Good evening to you, Justice Abdullah, and thank you for joining us on News Tonight. Now, first of all, can you give us some clarity, help explain what the legal basis is of this claim being put forward by the Chief Justice, the motion challenging Article 146 committee proceedings and the presidential warrants for her removal? Give us details into the legal basis for this claim.
Right. Essentially, thank you. What the CJ is communicating is consistent with her continuous position that her removal is unlawful. And so on the basis of that, she's inviting the court to declare the entire processes leading to her removal unlawful. Now, if the new application that she's filed essentially is saying that if the court allows the vetting and the possible appointment or rejection of the current nominee to the office of the Chief Justice to proceed, it in effect makes her entire suit a nuggetry. That explains that on the basis of that, there will be no basis to continue with the legal action that she's taking. Because once a new CJ assumes office, there is no way she can be added to have a double CJ in the office. And so until this court stays the entire proceedings leading to the appointment of the new CJ, her entire fight for her reinstitution would be of no use. This is essentially all that she's asking for. And rightly so, her reasoning is in accord with the law. But as to whether it will be accepted by the court or not is a different question, because really the basis for seeking that is in effect saying that the entire proceedings leading to her removal was unlawful. But all of us, at least everybody who has observed the proceedings leading to her removal, can attest to the fact that its fidelity to the law is not in question. And so I think this is, if you like, an overstretch of the law. And for me, I admire the tenacity with which she's pursuing her right. And I'll encourage her to do so to expand the frontiers of the law. The merit or otherwise of it, of course, is left for the court to determine. But essentially, this is what the former CJ is inviting the court to do, just with the hope that if she wins the matter as she's put forward, she could have an opportunity back in the office that she once occupied. And if the court doesn't accept it, unfortunately, what it means is that even if she wins the case, she will not have the opportunity to go back to the office. That is the other
side angle with regards to looking at it. Now, you say that you admire her tenacity. This document that was filed was over 200 pages, and there are other concerns that was raised, such as what she described as the unlawful withholding of her salary, benefits, entitlements following her removal from office. I believe you have perused her claims put forward. What do you make of these other concerns put forward by the former Chief Justice?
So naturally, the basis of her removal comes along with those entitlements as have been withheld. But once she was removed from office, because she did not retire from office, she cannot go home with all those benefits. She was removed. Once you are dismissed from office, you lose series of benefits. In fact, this is why, if you remember, prior to this whole issue becoming a full-fledged matter, I was advising that she takes advantage of the opportunities available at the time to negotiate her way out. She would have had these benefits that she has lost today if she had taken those steps. But of course, she's an independent-minded person. She probably has, she knows her way around matters more than those of us sitting on the fence and looking at events. And so I'm sure she felt maybe fighting it was a better course of action for her than finding a better way out, as some of us were advising, sitting on the fence. And so, unfortunately, for all of us, once you are dismissed from office, you can no longer have all the benefits that even an ordinary member of a Supreme Court or even a Superior Court judge would have, i.e., taking all your benefits, your entitlement back home, and indeed being paid your emolument as though you were actually sitting. So every benefit that certain Superior Court judges are receiving today ought to have been received if she had gone home without being dismissed. And so it is just right that if she's filing for her reinstatement,
right,
automatically she would also have to fight
for
the benefits that would have accrued to her if she was in office. So these come naturally together, and so that she lose them together because of the means by which she was removed from office.
Right. Now, Justice Abdullahi, in rounding up, what do you find or observe to be the potential response or consequences from the court? I mean, in terms of these orders that she is seeking.
Naturally, from the genesis of this issue up to date, if you would recall, I even threw a challenge to any person who disagrees with the procedures that were adopted for her removal to come for us to debate on live TV or anywhere, any other platform. If there was anything legally wrong with the procedures that were adopted, that was adopted in her removal. So far, nobody has, of course, accepted the challenge. But that's not to say that there's probably no argument to the contrary. But it is to say that going by the constitutional provisions, there hasn't been anything done wrong up to this point. And so it is a very uphill task. In fact, arguably one of the biggest difficulties she faces to change the tide as things are today. But that is not to say that she should lose hope. I would still encourage her, but I would urge her on to pursue these issues to help us expand the frontiers of the law. Because remember, I've consistently mentioned that this is not the first time we are charting this path. If in the past we had charted this path when these same provisions were invoked in the removal of the 2015 Anas expose judges, perhaps today we would have had a different conversation regarding this area. Similarly, if in 2018 or thereabout, in the removal processes of Charlotte Osei, if the fight had been pursued to the extent that we are having it today, perhaps would have had some precedents that would have guided all of us up to this point. So if today we have someone who is willing to fight the cause and then expand the frontiers of the law, I think it would only help all of us. It will guide us in future. Whether she wins or loses should not be material in determining or in judging her. I think we should rather support her to fight whatever cause she's fighting, whether in good faith or in bad faith, so that tomorrow we can all be guided by the decisions that will be made by the court.
Very well. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. We'll certainly be engaging you subsequently on this issue. Private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi joining us there. Certainly more on that subsequently. Now, in some other news, the High Court in Accra has discharged Mildred Donkor, the third accused person in the ongoing National Signals Bureau trial involving Kwabena Edu-Boahene after the Attorney General withdrew charges against her. This follows a notice filed by the Attorney General on October 16, 2025, formally discharging her under Section 59 of the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960 Act 30. In court on Friday, October 17, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Shremsai prayed for her to be discharged. EIB's legal affairs correspondent Murtala Inusa has more.
For the first time in 2025-2026 legal year, the case involving Kwabena Edu-Boahene, the former Director General of National Signals Bureau, and some 4 others, has come up at the High Court in Accra, where the accused persons together are facing 11 counts. But in court, Deputy Attorney General, per a notice of withdrawal filed earlier, indicated to the court that they want the third accused person discharged from the trial because the Attorney General do not intend to prosecute her any longer. Lawyers of the remaining accused persons, led by Samuel Atacha, indeed raised a preliminary legal objection to the fact that the nature of the case before the court, the charge sheet and the brief act ought to be amended.
An accused person, I do not know the consideration, has become a prosecution witness. So you could see that the Attorney General is in an indecent haste to rehabilitate the case. Because as a matter of fact, the Attorney General has published to the whole world that the third accused is into money laundering activities were the first and second accused. So what has changed? And guess who signed it? The Attorney General signed this before the court. And the charge sheet says so. So right now, what has changed for the Attorney General to have, if you like, a huge somersault and say that right now, the one that have accused us being involved in money laundering should come and testify against the people he was charged with.
The Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Jesrem Sai, said per the law and practices within the court, such situations at some point in time when it doesn't include any major corrections, then it could be cancelled and signed against, and that was the position of the Attorney General. But after forth and back, Justice John Nyedu-Nyante, the presiding judge, take the view that the objection is overruled. Subsequently, Madred Donko, who is the third accused person, has been discharged. All her records, her names, have been expunged from the record. Second prosecution witness in the person of Edith Ruby Edu Amwa mounts the witness box, and as we speak, she's still in the box giving a testimony, and the case has been adjourned to next week, Friday. But before the adjournment, issues relating to admissibility of some document where the accused person claims that it has some national security implications. The Deputy Attorney General wondered how a document that is well scrutinized by the state and filed in court, the accused person will have that say to believe that it has national security implications. But until then, more controversies around this very case. From the Law Court Complex, Mutala Inusa, GHOne.
Still on issues from the court, a former executive director of the National Service Authority, Osei Asibe Entry, and former deputy executive director of the authority, Gifty Oware-Mensah, have had their appearances in court to respond to charges delayed for various reasons, while Osei Asibe is said to have not received his charge sheet. Gifty Oware is reported sick. The two were expected to be in court on Friday, October 17, for allegedly authorizing payment of allowances to 69,934 non-existent, that's ghost, National Service personnel. Legal Affairs correspondent Murtala Inusa has more.
The High Court in Accra has ordered the former executive director of National Service Authority to report to the National Investigative Bureau on Monday for him to be informed of when to appear in court and respond to charges in relation to some ghost name scandal during the National Service scheme. What happened in court when the case was called was to the effect that the Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. GHOne Atakra-Obobisa, indicated to the court that the notice to appear before the court was too short, for which reason the accused person was unable to be informed ahead of time. His lawyers also collaborated the same position from the prosecution and said their client currently is in Kumasi. Per the order, he is expected to appear on Monday before NIB, after which he will be informed about the next time he is to appear before the court. In respect of his deputy, Gifty Oware-Mensah, her lawyers, led by Gary Nimakun, informed the court, differently constituted, that a medical excuse duty has been procured showing that their client is unwell. The court has granted the request and adjourned the case to Wednesday, 22nd of October, for Gifty Oware-Mensah to appear before the court and also respond to her version of the charges. From the Law Court Complex, Mutala Inusa, GHOne.
Well, let's turn to some other news this evening. In politics, the largest opposition MPP says it is heading to court to seek to challenge the rebranding of Movement for Change to United Party, as they claim sole ownership of the UP tradition. Alan Trementing and a group of former MPP leading members have broken ranks and rejected an olive branch to return to the MPP and formed their own party. We'll be telling you more about that impending suit shortly, but first, here is founder and leader of the newly formed United Party, Alan John Kwadwo Trementing, explaining the party's vision.
The great transformational plan which we developed under the Movement for Change and which has been widely acknowledged all over the world, if you get the chance to read the GTP, you make sure that the United Party becomes the next government in Ghana. If you look at the GTP, it is not just a question of forming a new party, but the policy initiatives that we have espoused are relevant today and will be relevant tomorrow. Stabilizing the macroeconomy is very important. And when we talk about stabilizing the macroeconomy, we are also looking at reducing our debt levels. People don't realize that we have not even started paying our debt. 2026 to 2028, that is when the debt burden will start showing. On industrial development, we will prioritize the development of the 10 strategic anchor industries that we have listed in the GTP, and with the vision that Africa, by 2040, that Ghana will become the new manufacturing hub for Africa.
But speaking to my colleague Bernice Abu-Bedu-Lansa here on News Tonight, Wale MP Dr. Abdul Kabiru Tia Mahama said he will file an injunction in court challenging the name of the new party.
But the name chosen is problematic because the tradition of the MPP is out of the United Party. They try to hide under the fact that Unity Party. I'm sure fair-minded Ghanaians and members of the Unity Party will first even test it in court. Find out whether that name.
You're going to court over this?
Of course, it is a very good case to test to see whether that name will even stand. I thought that the Mr. Alenchewante would have been much more thoughtful, and then chairman, together with the people who formed the party, would have been much more thoughtful in the name they would choose.
Why have you patented United Party?
United Party is registered. It's a name registered as a recognized political party, even though it's defunct, which were consolidated to form, the offshoot of all this is the New Patriotic Party.
Well, let's stay on this issue a while longer. We've been joined via phone by the communications director of the newly formed United Party, Solomon Owusu, joins me now for a conversation. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, the MPP says that they're seeking legal redress over the rebranding of Movement for Change for United Party. Can you confirm this? And what's your immediate response to that and the legitimacy of their claim?
So I'm not too sure the MPP would stoop so low to go to court. I want to believe that the position expressed by Kabiru is his personal position. These are symptoms of overeating. If you overeat, you can just go and sit on TV and then just make a whole argument. And so I would wait on the MPP to come clean that they want to go to court. And that would be the most useless court process that we have ever witnessed in our lives. LPP can only claim to anything related to United or party. So on what basis would they be going to court? Have they patented the United? Have they patented the party? There is a non-starter that you must throw it into the garbage.
So with that being said, you say there's absolutely no legitimacy to this claim being made by them?
He has no clue. Why is it that the lawyers are not even speaking? Has he turned into a lawyer all of a sudden? I thought he was an economist. An economist that turned into a lawyer, threatening that he will be going to court. We will be very happy that he carries through his threat. We know that the MPP has been dazed by the unveiling of the United Party. That's what we know. Because as you speak, the number of people who are leaving the NPP in all the regions into the United Party is incredible. And it's out of that pain that our brother Kabiru decided to make that statement. I'm sure with the benefit of hindsight, you would, and given the opportunity on the same platform, you will come and then withdraw the statement that you made and apologize to the United Party.
Now, with that being said, Solomon, you say that they may feel somewhat surprised or threatened even so by the unveiling of the United Party. Some analysts have downplayed the chances of your party, the United Party, as a potential third force, not to even then talk about winning power in the upcoming 2028 polls, even just making reference to the performance of the leader of the party, in the previous elections. What's your reaction to that?
Those analysts only express their opinion. They are not connoisseurs. They have no magic hands. They are not politicians themselves. They have never taken part in any politics. It's just an expression of opinion, and so you cannot put any weight on it. To win an election is to properly organize yourself. Organization decides everything. We are organizing our political party from the base across the entire 276 constituencies. So what makes them think that we don't stand any chance? In any case, election 2028 will be starting from point zero. Each political party that will be contesting will contest from a point of zero. So what makes them think that we don't stand any chance? I mean, I call them analysts for the two political parties. They are all wearing political clothes or political lenses. And so when they come, they create the impression, it's a two-horse race, so that it will discourage the teeming Ghanaians who have been yearning for us to do away with the duopoly to ensure development. And these are all propaganda, but we are not ready to go with propaganda. But we are ready to focus on the job that is ahead. It's to liberate the people of this country by building a vibrant and a robust political party in the name of United Party.
Now, very briefly, Solomon, with that being said, having unveiled the United Party, what should Ghanaians expect in the days and years moving forward ahead of the 2028 general elections?
In the coming days, Ghanaians in each and every corner of this country must expect offices of the United Party springing up, must expect our polling station executives, we call them the cell executives, must expect constituency executives in all the constituencies, must expect, already we have interim regional executives, must expect parliamentary candidates in all the 276 constituencies that we have, and must expect the message of hope, credibility at play, and an attempt to take out monetization of our politics. Monetizing our politics will not be part of the United Party's vision. So that is what the Ghanaian must be expecting.
Solomon Owusu, Communications Director of the United Party, thank you for joining us here on News Tonight this evening. Let's turn to some other issues. Now, for the first time in Ghana's policing history, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete GHOne, has led a high-level delegation of senior officers to the New York field office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This forms part of a broader U.S.-Ghana engagement aimed at deepening law enforcement cooperation and sharing best practices in modern policing.
During discussions with Assistant Director in Charge, Christopher Rae, and his team, both sides explored ways to strengthen intelligence sharing, combat cyber-enabled crime, enhance counter-terrorism operations, and apply technology in crime prevention and investigations. IGP Christian Tete GHOne expressed delight over the partnership, describing it as a reaffirmation of a shared responsibility to protect the people. He said the Ghana Police Service is committed to adopting advanced investigative tools and collaboration to ensure safety and public trust. Assistant Director of FBI Christopher Rae commended the growing collaboration, citing the recent extradition of cyber fraud suspects as an example of successful cross-border policing efforts. He noted that such partnerships are key to holding transnational criminals accountable through sustained international cooperation. The visit underscores the shared commitment of the Ghana Police Service and the FBI to information exchange, capacity building, and coordinated operations, a step toward building a more modern, intelligence-driven, and globally connected Ghana Police Service.
Well, away from security, let's turn to issues on healthcare. Ghana is set to export trained nurses to Grenada following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the two countries aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation in the health sector. Speaking during a state luncheon at the presidency after bilateral talks with Grenadian Prime Minister Dickon Amis Thomas Mitchell, President Mahama explained that the agreement forms part of Ghana's Labour Export Initiative, which will see qualified Ghanaian nurses deployed to support Grenada's healthcare system while creating new employment opportunities and enhancing international collaboration in medical service delivery. Our Presidential Affairs correspondent Abdul Hanan Adam reports.
President John Mahama welcomed Grenadian Prime Minister Dickson Amis Thomas Michel to the Jubilee House for bilateral talks aimed at strengthening relations between Ghana and Grenada. Prime Minister Michel, who is in Ghana for a 2-day state visit, joined President Mahama to explore new areas of cooperation to boost trade and investment, enhance collaboration in education and agriculture, tourism, and expand health services for the mutual benefit of both nations. At a state luncheon held in honor of the visiting Prime Minister, Ghana and Grenada signed a memorandum of understanding to facilitate the export of Ghanaian nurses to support Grenada's health sector. The agreement was signed between Grenada's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, Joseph Andal, and Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa.
During my productive discussions with Prime Minister Michel earlier today, we mutually agreed on the importance of expanding our collaboration in key areas, particularly those that utilize our comparative advantages for mutual growth. In the health sector, Grenada's interest in recruiting Ghanaian nurses and allied health professionals presents a valuable opportunity for structured collaboration between our two countries. Ghanaian health workers have gained international recognition for their professionalism and their compassion. And we're keen to explore arrangements that address both our national needs and Grenada's health priorities.
On trade and investment, President Mahama highlighted the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement hosted in Ghana as a key catalyst for connecting Caribbean businesses to the African market for increased trade, investment, and shared economic growth.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which has its headquarters here in Ghana, offers a historic opportunity for Caribbean businesses to tap into Africa's integrated market of over 1.4 billion people. The Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, ACTIV, is another avenue to strengthen the trade and investment connections between Africa and the Caribbean. However, one significant barrier continues to hinder our cooperation, and that is the lack of direct air connectivity between the Caribbean and Africa.
In his remarks, Grenadian Prime Minister Dickson Amis Thomas Michel urged both nations to build on shared history and pursue a common goal of prosperity and progress for their peoples.
As we continue to evolve the MOU on culture, on the creatives, on fintech, that remember ultimately that our populations are very young. And we have to do this for them. We have to give them the opportunity to ensure that they realize their full potential. And so, Your Excellency, the MOUs that we've signed, including the one just signed on healthcare support, because it focuses on people, is testimony to how we will be able to move the bilateral relations further.
In other news this evening, Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has reaffirmed government's belief that gender equality is central to Ghana's economic transformation and long-term sustainable development. Addressing the opening session of the 27th District's 18 Conference of Zonta International in Accra, Vice President Professor Opoku-Agyeman underscored the need for deliberate partnerships that empower women to participate fully in the country's economic, social, and political life. According to the Vice President, Ghana cannot achieve its full development potential without harnessing the skills, creativity, and leadership of women.
Important gains have been achieved over the decades. But this year's theme, focusing on women and girls and building a better future, an even better future, is significant. And it calls on all of us to make equality real and lasting. District 18, spanning 12 countries across West, East, and Central Africa, is an example of unity. Our challenges cross our borders, so must our solutions. In Ghana, the government is committed to gender equality. We have expanded access to education, supported women in leadership, and strengthened protections against gender-based violence. But laws and policies must be complemented by partnerships with people and organizations, including yours, in order for real transformation to take place in our communities.
You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. The Amenfi Central District has joined the global fight against breast cancer in the spirit of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The GHOne Foundation, led by Member of Parliament for the area, GHOne Kujo, has rolled out a 6-day breast cancer awareness and health screening campaign aimed at improving early detection and community health care.
October is globally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a period dedicated to increasing awareness, promoting early diagnosis, and supporting women living with breast cancer. The GHOne Foundation has taken the campaign to the grassroots in Amenfi Central, organizing a 6-day awareness and health screening program across communities in the district to provide accessible health care and encourage routine medical checkups among women. Honorable Jan emphasized that the Foundation's health screening exercise is only the beginning, with broader healthcare projects set to roll out in the district. The lead organizer of the foundation, Jane Francis Aqua, explained that the campaign aims to save lives through education, awareness, and early detection.
What I'm so much surprised about is how the health directorate from this center has actually come out, and they are also helping out in the consultations we are doing. The
district chief executive, Peter Mponsa, also commended the foundation and pledged the assembly's support for future health programs.
You're watching News Tonight. We'll bring you more news shortly. Do stay.